We are lucky to have John Zogby standing by the line right now. John, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
We'll talk about some new polling, but before we get to that, I'd love your take on the unity. In crisis, we seem to come together. Our Republicans and Democrats seem to come together, and we're living that right now, it seems.
Yeah, we are, and it's quite a moment to watch. You know, too bad that it's born in tragedy, but generally that's how these moments are born. Now, you know, who's got the courage to continue the moment? I have to say that it was good to watch, and I think the president did rise to the occasion, which I think helped. Now, if it can be sustained a little bit, I think a lot of folks would be encouraged by it, including me.
I got hammered a bit yesterday because I brought up the Congresswoman, Tenney, and she went right down the road on the night of, on Hannity, about Kathy Griffin and the rhetoric, and we just heard Rush blaming this is liberal hate. Can you blame rhetoric for a crazy person coming out and shooting up people?
Well, it sets a tone, and it provides a cushion. I mean, if there's a broader context, it sort of enables it and lets it hang out there rather than just simply isolate it. But the bottom line is that this really isn't the time to get into the blame. We all have folks that we want to blame for it, but this is, this is the kind of moment where you just sort of put it aside and let's move on.
And there were people on both sides. Terry McAuliffe, right off the bat, is talking gun control. And to get into these political arguments when the blood hadn't even been cleaned up off the baseball field, to me is inappropriate.
Inappropriate, poor taste. You know, Nancy Pelosi said it's the Republicans who invented the politics of personal character assassination and that sort of thing. Very few heroes on either side, but now at least we're seeing some on both sides, come forward. Yeah. Now, let's see what happens from here.
I got to say, I thought the President of the United States acted like the President of the United States.
He did.
Yeah. This was a very presidential moment for him, and let's hope that he can spring off, use this as a springboard.
Well, if you'll recall, the Oklahoma City bombing really was one of the turning points for Bill Clinton's presidency. Right. He was really very, very low in the polls and almost, in fact, I recall Brit Hume asking him right before that if the presidency was still relevant.
Yeah.
And then, the president went to Oklahoma City and really electrified and united the nation.
It is a terrible thing, but if you are observing, which is what we're doing here, tragedy, especially something that takes on national interest, is, I hate to say this, but it is an opportunity for the president to unite people. And they just have to do that. That's part of the role.
It is, and what he ought to do is put the mobile phone down, between midnight and 6 a.m., at least for a little while.
Prior to this incident, you did some polling, and what are you finding?
Well, essentially the president is down. He's not out, but his numbers are not good. 39%, is his approval rating. Translated, it means he can't do much of anything. 55% disapprove. At 39%, it means he's lost some of his own base. Because remember, he was elected with about 46, 47% of the vote.
Right.
And during an alleged honeymoon period, he's dropped 7 points instead of gained 7 points. So he's wounded.
And that is, it'll be interesting to see what happens after this. Although you still have lingering out there additional investigation that's going on, and the Mueller story, which is not really a good story for him.
No, it isn't. He even tried to spin the beginning of the week that Comey had vindicated him, and by the end of the week, it's Mueller investigating him for firing Comey.
Yeah.
So he can't seem to get ahead of this story, and the press is being relentless. Some of it may very well be professionalism on their part, but a good bit of it also is the fact that they hate his guts, because he hates their guts.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just not a good relationship. And, you know, it's in his nature to want to fight back and fight the press, and that's where he'll keep his basic base of people who just simply don't trust the press at all.
Yeah.
But it doesn't allow him to move forward.
I also wonder what was your take when the president came out a few days ago and called the health care bill out of the House mean, and that is in complete contrast with everything we've heard prior. It's almost as if someone sat down with the president, and the last person that sat down with him was against the health care bill that came out of the House, and they told him all the things that were going to happen, and the president says it's mean. What's your take on that?
Exactly what you said. Somebody sat down with the president and said this is a pretty mean bill, and besides, only 16% support it. It's up to 27%, but the fact of the matter is that it's not really supported by anybody.
Yeah.
It's not supported by the public. It's not supported by, you know, the chief interests, both those that are corporate and not-for-profit, as well as consumer-oriented, senior citizens. You name a whole long list. Where's the support going to come from the bill? And why don't they support it? Well, essentially, you can call it mean or call it not mean, but the bottom line is a hell of a lot of people will get off of health insurance once they've had it. So it's not a good bill.
So you had a celebration of the fact that they passed this, the repeal of Obamacare. They passed it in the House. This is something they all campaigned on. But now you have legislators coming out and saying, well, don't worry about the fact that I voted yes, because this is just our bill. The Senate's going to fix this. I mean, can you let somebody off the hook with a comment like that?
That's a long bumper sticker.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I mean, even John Kerry's was, I was for it before I was against it.
Right.
That you could sort of at least fit on a Conrail train, but this one goes for miles. But on the other hand, no, that doesn't work.
All right. Interesting times, John Zogby. That's all I can say.